You're going to want to trim when your project has started to dry a little bit, so it's this dark gray color. You're going to know it's ready if you kind of lightly touch it and it doesn't bend, if it's not flexible. If it bends a lot, then you're not quite there. It needs to dry a little bit more. If it's a really light gray, it's not going to bend, but it's going to be very brittle. So in that case, you do not want to turn it upside down because you're probably going to crack the rim. Okay, so we wanted this dark gray. We want it to be still feel a little bit moist, but not be flexible. All right, so before we start, you want to make sure that you're prepared. So you want to take a look at the curve that's on the inside of your bowl. We want to create a curve on the outside that matches that inside curve. So if it's low and wide, our curve on the outside is also going to be low and wide. It's kind of pointy, same thing. All right, so you want to have a feel for what you have. You want to put one finger on the inside, one finger on the outside, and just have an idea of how thick it is. So if it's thin, you're going to have a short foot like this, and if it's thick, you're going to have a taller foot. Now there's some pieces that don't need a foot at all, and that you can just kind of clean up with your sponge a little bit. All right, next thing to do is to put it onto our wheel, and this time you're going to have the bumpy side of your bat sticking up instead of the flat side. We want to put this directly in the center, and sometimes that can be a little tough to eyeball, but you want to get it as close as you can. Another thing that you can use to kind of help you with it is either your sponge or a little bit of clay on your fingers to just kind of create these little lines onto the surface, and that will help to guide you in terms of the placement and getting it somewhat close to the middle. So again, we want to just kind of eyeball it, get as close to the middle as possible, and then once you have it there, use the curve of your hand to just kind of get it centered. You can use your dominant hand, so in my case my right hand, kind of tap it to the center. The other thing that you can do is lightly touch it either with your fingernail or with a tool and just make a little mark. If one side is really thick and one side is really thin, that you know you need to push it a little bit. I'm going to take a little bit of clay. These are little wads of clay, and I'm going to use them to stick my bowl in place and to hold it to the wheel. So you don't want to press really hard and knock it off center, but you want to press hard enough that it's going to stay put. Then we're going to take our large loop tool, and that's the one with the wooden handle with a larger loop at the end, and we're going to remove the excess clay. So notice that as I do this, no matter what it is, I'm going to rest my hands just like I did when I was throwing. I'm going to put my arms down on my legs, or put my arms down on the slot bucket. Okay, so I'm going to remove the excess. And just kind of hold it in one place to make it even. You can also go down the side of the curve, the side of the bowl, if you want to smooth out any little finger marks or anything like that. All right, and then we're going to switch to our other loop tool. This is our small loop tool. It has two ends. One is flat, one is curved. We're going to use a curved edge first. And this is going to define the outer edge of our foot. Okay, so now I've interrupted the nice curve on the outside of my bowl. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to fix that. So I'm going to switch back to my larger loop tool. I'm going to take the kind of pointy end and I'm going to place it into the groove that I've created and go back and correct the curve. So now I have a nice gradual transition from the bowl all the way along the wall, all the way up to the foot. All right, so that's the outer part of the foot. Now I'm going to work on the inner part of the foot. I'm still going to use the curved edge, and I'm going to hold it like I hold a pencil, and just for extra support, I'm going to use my left hand. So for this, it really helps if you approach it from right on top. And as I mentioned, I'm going to create the inner edge of the foot, but I want to make it a little bit wider than I want it to end up, because my foot is just going to naturally get a little bit smaller as I throw. So as I do this, I want to keep in mind how thick or how thin my bowl is at the bottom, because I want to be careful that I don't break through. Okay, so that will become the inner edge of my foot. Now I need to remove the center part. Because I'm right-handed, I'm going to go slightly to the right of center, and I'm going to work my way to my right side and remove the excess. All right, so if you like that little swirl, you can leave it. If you don't, you can flip to your flat end and just follow the same path and remove it and smooth it out. So some people like theirs really smooth. I I actually like the little curve, because I like the swirl. I think it shows that it's been made by hand